Hey, what's up? Welcome to Jam the Hype Live, where we help Christian urban artists effectively influence our modern culture to live lives transformed by the gospel of Jesus Christ. My name is George Moss. I'm your host of Jam the Hype Live, joined by my co-host, Cherie. What's up, Cherie?
Well, I am not happy today. Usually I'm like, oh yes, I went to the beach. Today, I'm a little down because honestly, as you do the work of trying to work on your life, because that's what this book talks about, to be a better artist, you need to work on your life as well as your art. Yeah, I think there's been some growing pains in that of just really holding myself accountable and being accountable to others as well. And I'm falling down a few steps, but yeah, I'm willing to keep working at it. But definitely, this was a rough week.
You know what? That's funny because that's just exactly. For some reason, I was expecting that this week, especially after what we read, and what this chapter talks about. Because you typically start a conversation with like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" And then the actual normal response is, "Oh, I'm doing good, man. How you doing?" Like that's just the expectation. I'm good. How you doing? Because when someone asks how you doing, they're not really asking how you're doing. It's just a common greeting. And you always have, especially like you have that one dude at church that just takes everything so hyper literally, or somebody that you see at the grocery store. And I'm like, dude, I'm buying groceries. When I said what's up, I didn't actually want you to go into your life story right now. So, but there's got to be that balance of like where, you understand sort of like, social, you're socially aware of like when someone's really asking you and you're not offended by someone saying what's up when they're not actually saying, it's just a greeting.
So are you saying you didn't want me to really be honest just now?
Well, I'm just saying, in this context, I wanted you to be honest. Okay. Because it makes sense. That's what we're talking about.
Y'all hear that, right? Y'all hear that, right? All right.
You see me at the grocery store and I'm in a rush to get out here. Do not stop me and talk to me. I'm like, I gotta go.
I got you.
But this is really interesting because we actually do need to be able to understand what our real emotions are when we're actually feeling something.
Yep.
And our sort of official emotions that we just tell everybody else. So like,
well, that was my real emotion, bro.
Yeah. So unpack that for me a little bit. Like what hasn't been going on this week where you're just like, man, I'm not really feeling the greatest right now.
Yeah. So in this book, one of the things that stuck out to me is like wanting to either stay in illusion or get into reality, right? So illusion, you can make yourself think that you're actually doing better than you really are. Whereas reality is, man, I actually have some things I need to work on. The reality is I'm falling short in these areas. And so are you willing to sit down, look at it and be like, okay, why am I falling short in these areas? And how do I fix it? And am I willing to go through that ugly period that happens in getting to the better place? Illusion is way better. Fantasy is way better. When you think you're awesome and everything is going great and you're just maintaining, that's easier than actually doing the work. So I'm in that ugly period. I'm in that ugly period.
Yeah. And sometimes as adults, I know for me, I'm in that period as well, and which I think has something to do with like, this is the process that we're supposed to be going through. It's like, this is oddly prophetic of like how we're feeling at the moment and how things are happening. Maybe we shouldn't have read this book, but no, no, but it's like, it's one of those things that I know for me as an adult, when someone asks me how I'm doing, I literally don't even have time to process how I'm doing. So it's much easier just to say, okay. It's much easier just to convince myself that everything's fine and it's okay. And I don't have time because I just don't I've got too many other things to think about. I've got deadlines with, 3 different companies I'm working for. I got, home responsibilities, family issues that are coming up. I've got my own things that I'm trying to develop. Like, I don't know how I'm feeling. So, okay, it's just going to be the blanket statement. That's what you're going to get because I don't really have time to process this right now with you. However, what's been awesome is the morning pages is like, that is the one space where you're able to sit down and actually process those things. So if you haven't been tuning in with us these past couple of weeks, we're going through this book called The Artist Way. That's the whole title of this season. And in the book, we really talk about these morning pages, which is 3 pages of just writing whatever it might be, writing a prayer, writing a to-do list, writing affirmations, writing what you're frustrated about. It can be a journal. It can be just random thoughts, whatever you want it to be, just to get these. It gives us space and time to sort of process these emotions. And as you talk about that, kind of going through this ugly period, it reminds me of how my wife has had me doing this sort of juice cleanse. And during this process of this juice cleanse, where I wasn't eating any food, I was just drinking raw juices each day and eating raw food. And what happens is your body starts to kind of tear out and clean out all the toxins that are in your body. And as the toxins get out of your body, they have to get out some way. So you appear to be sick and you appear to be getting worse because what's actually happening is all these toxins have to get out of your body in some way. And I feel that way sometimes as we start to process how we really feel by going through these morning pages. What you were going along and doing, you were kind of like masked to how you were really feeling. But as you start to feel these things, you start to realize how you actually feel, and you go through this sort of ugly phase. And I feel that way a lot of times. I feel that way right now. And sometimes I feel that way. It's like, I'm not sure if it's, again, this book talks about these things like we talked about last week. There's no coincidences. Like it actually happens how it's supposed to happen, but you feel like, man, it's just a coincidence. But for me this week, it's been nonstop. Like there's been nonstop things that needed to be done with the brand that I run, with people asking for like songs and new music that I'm working on, with doing the show and trying to keep up with social media. I've got some family issues that have been going on. I've got so many people pulling me in so many different directions, and even, friends, and always calling, asking for favors, and want to help everybody. And like literally, I woke up yesterday, just to give you an example. Yesterday, I woke up at 5 a.m. after not sleeping for maybe 3 hours. My daughter woke up from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the morning. So I get to bed like 4:30. I had to wake up at 5. So I'm up until 5, and I didn't get done. I literally didn't leave my office here until 1:30 in the morning, fell asleep on the couch, and then woke up and actually was barely in and out of sleep because a manufacturer that I work with over in Pakistan was sending me all these proofs and things like that. And then I finally fall asleep and wake up to him texting me because he's impatient about something because it's the end of the day. Just craziness over there. So this Pakistani angry guy is talking to me first thing this morning, and I get here and I literally have no time to process anything. I'm just like going. And you don't have time to actually sit and ask how you're doing. So when I'm like, man, I'm just tired. And that's one of those things. Like you either say, I'm okay, I'm tired, I'm fine, I'm good. I don't know. That's at least the 4 processes that I probably have. But I never really sit down and actually talk about how I'm feeling with other people. So I need to get to those morning pages just to tell the morning pages how I'm feeling, because most of the time there's no time for real conversation like this one.
Interesting. Well, we talk about emotion and how you're feeling. And so a story that I'd love to just share before we get into it is recently I was going through a coaching session. So I'm going through this process where I'm getting certified to be a spiritual leadership coach. And we've got to practice on each other in our class. So the young lady who was taking me through a model called House of Change, it basically takes you through this idea of like, okay, in your house, where do you feel playful? In your house, where do you feel comfortable? In your house, where do you feel anxious? In your house, where do you feel whatever? And so as we were going through this, I recognized that in my house, not necessarily my house, but it's more like how you live and what space do you kind of like stay in. Where I usually am is in a place of disapproval. So there's range of emotions. There's these places that cause you to feel a certain type of way all the time. So disapproval. So you may say, like, what does that mean? Well, that can play into, well, I feel pensive a lot. I feel sadness a lot. I feel grief. I feel distracted a lot. So as I started thinking through like emotions beyond like, I feel sad or I feel angry or I feel, whatever, and started putting like pensive, sad, grief, distracted, and started naming some of these things, it helped me realize, how do I get out of this space? Now, where's a place in my life that I feel, for instance, say I want to get into a place of optimism, right? I want to feel more interested, and I want to feel more vigilant. I want to feel more joy. I want to feel more serenity rather than peace. Serenity is a completely different word. So where in my life do I feel those ways? How do I think through that and figure out what is it that I can be doing more of to get me into that space and out of the space of disapproval. So if I'm trying to get to a space of optimism, what do I need to be doing? Where do I feel most optimistic? And then find out what I'm doing in my life that brings me more disapproval and get out of that space and move more into optimism. So in this chapter, she's talking a lot about feelings. And I wanted to bring that up because if you're only dealing with words like sad, mad, tired, or angry, those are very limiting. And then you don't even know what's contributing to you feeling those ways. So it's really important to understand. So for me, where's a place that I feel most optimistic? Literally, when I'm in my studio, like I am now, I have all the things around me that inspire joy and serenity and optimism and love. And so I need to spend more time, literally, physically, in my studio, because that brings out a better space for me. So there's a lot you can tease out in this, but man, I would suggest that you guys look up Range of Emotions. It's called it's called the Wheel of Emotion. Look it up on Google and start
We'll put
to
it in
try
the
to
comments
play
below.
out. Yeah, start to try to play out how you're really, really, really feeling, and then tease out what makes you feel certain ways in places, spaces, even in your work. How are you feeling when you're doing these things? And if you're really in negative places a lot, you need to move out of that and get to a better space more often.
Yeah, and I want to ask that question. If you're like in the comments, down here on Facebook, just let us know, how are you feeling? Like actually process that and see if you can use descriptive words to process how you're feeling right now. Because if you don't know exactly how you're feeling, you don't know how to actually make that feeling better. Now, on the other hand, this is kind of a flip side to that too. Like, especially sort of in the church world, Christianity world, like sometimes my life is going great. Like things are going really good. I'm grateful, especially when I'm really in my habit of like practicing meditation, and I have the space to be able to practice gratitude and just pray and just thank God for all of the things that he's actually given, and turn off the news for a second and turn off social media just for a minute and just be so grateful for all those things. And I'm doing great. And then you sort of like get into these like prayer groups or accountability groups or Bible studies with people, and like everyone's always like, so how are you really doing? I'm like, bro, I'm really doing good. Like, you're bumming me out right now, but I was doing good before that. But I think it's just one of those things. You have to be self-aware of how you're actually feeling at the time you're feeling those things, and be able to put names to those words, just like you were saying. And one of the things that was pointed out, especially as it relates to becoming a better artist and actually being in a creative space, if you want to really work on your art, you got to work on your life. Because if you don't really have self-awareness, you don't really have a self-expression, because you have no self to express. So until you really understand who yourself is and how you're feeling, you're not going to be able to express authentically and in reality of how you're actually feeling. And people think that sort of like, creativity is grounded in sort of fantasy world, and you get to kind of be off in la la land. But the truth is, if you think about the most powerful songs you've ever heard, they're grounded in reality. They're grounded in real emotion, real feelings, real experiences that they're having in life. And when you actually take the time to force yourself to process how you're feeling in a real way, without letting it be bogged down and clouded by the worries of this world, the to-do lists that you might have, the deadlines that you might have, the families that's pulling on you, when you actually are able to sit down and process those things, you'll be able to get in touch with reality and specifically express how you're feeling and who you actually are from a very original place. And I think
that's good.
I think we all need to try to get back to that point.
That's good.
There's a little exercise that they talked about doing in this book, and I actually wanted to try this with us live here.
All right, let's do it.
Now, this it's interesting because like the more I think about going through this process, and for me, I think the older you get and the more responsibility you have, the more you start to learn about the world. Like, you lose that sense of wonder and imagination and freedom that you have as a child. But what this little exercise really helped you kind of get back in touch with your childhood, with your thoughts, with your your subconscious things. And the idea about this, there's some rules to this little exercise and game that we're going to do. So be prepared in the comments, because you're going to participate in this too. Speed is the key. You got to take time you have to do this off the top of your head. No time for processing, no time for thinking about it. Like, you got to say, this is the first things that come to your mind, word association thing. You got to just say it off the top of your head. Now, let's do this. Let's say here. You guys ready for this?
Ready.
Ready? Let me know. Okay. So it's all about spontaneity. So don't censor yourself. Here it goes. I want you to list 5 hobbies that sound fun. 5 hobbies that sound fun. All right, you go and I'll go. Go. First 3. 5 hobbies this time. Just one.
Vocal production.
Scuba diving.
Ah, crap. All right. This is gonna be worth it. 'Cause I even got- Roller derby.
Roller derby. That's I said scuba diving already. 5 hobbies that sound fun. I think lion taming, like not lion taming, but like being one of those people that like train animals.
Oh
like
my
you got
goodness,
a cat,
really?
a cheetah.
Wow.
It'd be a fun thing to do.
That would be scary. Okay, kiteboarding.
Oh, that's really dope. 5 things. I'm just drawing a blank. 5 things that would be fun to do. I mean, bowling. That's just something that's fun to do.
Parkour. Do you know what
Parkour?
that is? Yeah. It's like
that's like working out, right?
It's like where you jump off stuff and like do
Oh,
flips
yeah.
and like have to do all these crazy tricks in the air.
No, that's crazy. I'm trying to fall off buildings and stuff like that. That's crazy.
All right. What's next?
Parasailing.
Boating.
Like sailboating or like water skiing?
No,
boating?
like I want a boat. I want to like go out on the water on a boat and just go on adventures. You have to have a boat though, so I need I need a lot of money for that.
Yeah, and I would just say fishing because I used to love just going fishing, and that's just what I would do. So with that, so now 5 classes that you think would be fun to take.
Okay.
I would say pasta making. That would be a fun class to take.
Journalism.
Sounds. Let's see here. Photography would be a good class, fun class to
I
take.
could see you doing that. Sociology.
Sociology. What is sociology?
Study of
that sounds
people.
like
The study of society,
gotcha.
human behavior. Yep.
that sounds super like brainy academic. So I think a lot of cooking classes would be fun. So like you have pasta. I would love to like cook like foreign foods and just in general. Like I would love to go to like Asia and like learn how to make dumplings. That'd be fun.
That sounds fun. Ancient Egyptian history. I want to go to Egypt and really learn the history. That would be dope.
Ooh, that would be pretty fun to take that. Like that's always one of those places I want to go. Greece. Going to take a class in Greek culture and like biblical Greek heritage and all that stuff, because I spent a lot of time like in Israel learning like a lot of the Hebrew culture. I would love to understand like the Greek Greco-Roman culture from that period of time too.
Okay, a class in racial identity development. How race plays into your identity and your development as a person. Woo! I would love.
I feel like you've taken a class on that already.
I've studied a lot, but there are some people out there that really, really get this, and I'd love to sit with them. Yeah.
Trying to think of something I don't know anything about that I would really just want to know more about. I think some of the stuff my wife is learning would be fun to take, is some of the like natural health stuff, and learning about like how seaweed interacts with your cells and makes you superhuman. I don't know.
All right. Are we getting them? Are we getting those
Next
comments?
one here is list 5 things you personally would never do that sound fun. Personally would never do them, but they sound fun. I think that has something to do with my first list actually, because like like for instance, I personally probably would never go bungee jumping. But that sounds kind of fun. It sounds like I think it's fun having had that experience. I don't think having the experience itself is going to be fun. But
for me, it would be surfing.
You would never do that?
No, I'm too afraid of those big waves. They give me a panic attack. Like, no.
The big waves do? I think jellyfish scare me more than waves do.
I don't care
I
about
hate jellyfish.
No. Have you ever been hit by a wave or caught in a riptide? You're you're completely helpless. Like you're just being thrown and no. That's completely out of control.
When I think about that, I think about Finding Nemo when he got caught on the current. I want to ride in the back of a truck. Like that's what I want to do. That's one thing I would never do, but I want to be underwater on the current, like hanging on a sea turtle. That's what I want to do. I want to ride that current.
For me, rock climbing. I would never do that. It looks fun, but I would never do it.
Yeah, rock climbing. I think a lot of those things have to do with heights, like parkour, skydiving, bungee jumping. I would never do any of that type of stuff, but it would sound really fun. One thing I would never do either is the lion taming and petting a cheetah. Like I'm not gonna pet a cheetah. It's fine where it's at. It looks really cute, but nah, I'm gonna leave it alone.
For me, it would be, let's see, skydiving. Wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
Looks fun.
I don't think I would either.
Nope.
I don't know if we're at number 5 anyway, but let's say list 5 skills that would be fun. List 5 skills that would be fun to have. 5 skills that would be fun to have. I think it would be fun to have a skill of being able to speak any language in the world. Maybe these are superpowers, but let's turn this into superpowers. I would love to be able to speak every language, including sign language. That would be dope.
I'd like to be like you. I'd love to be able to do clothing design.
It's just Photoshop.
Okay, then Photoshop.
Oh man, one thing that I would love to do, I would love to be able to have martial artist type skills. I love people that are able to do that. I just don't have the time or the discipline to be able to go through martial arts classes. So it would be dope to actually have that without having to go through 50 years of training.
Electric guitar.
Oh, that would be dope.
I wish I could just shred. That would be so awesome.
Oh man, I wish I could play the piano fluently, really, really good, or any instrument for that matter. Like you say, electric guitar, but just be able to pick up an instrument and just play by ear would be really dope.
Lastly, for me, it would probably be a great memory, big oratory skills, like Barack Obama type, where you could say a speech for 10 minutes and not have to look at a teleprompter. That would be amazing. And it would be interesting. It wouldn't just be you talking.
It's along those same lines. What I was thinking similar as I wish I could remember everyone's name that I ever met.
Ooh, that's
people
cool.
hit me up all the time. It's like, hey, you remember me from such and such? You remember me from there? And way back in the day, I used to be like, oh yeah, I remember. Knowing I was lying. Now I'm just like, nah, I don't remember. Can you remind me? It's one of those things, just learning how to just be honest and with your feelings and all that. But kind of the point of we're not finished with this actually. 5 things. This is where I think it's really interesting. 5 things that you used to enjoy. What are 5 things, as a kid, what are the 5 things that you used to enjoy?
Yeah, I only had 2 of those things. So rollerblading, I used to rollerblade all the time, and then bodyboarding. But again, bodyboarding, I'm afraid of the waves, so I've stopped doing that. And then rollerblading, I like to skateboard now, so I haven't really rollerbladed in a while. And I actually fell off a staircase. I would jump stairs, and I would jump 4 at a time. And so I was jumping, and I jumped my 3, then I jumped my 4, and the next 4 came up, and I had too much speed, and so I completely flew over it and landed on my back and almost hit my head on the last stair. And when the paramedics came, they said, "Do you want to have a broken neck? Is that what you want?" And then I was just like, "I'm done."
You want to have a broken neck? As if it's hey, I could break your neck for you?
No,
or
okay,
stop doing this.
Stop doing it. Is that what you want? You were almost where I was laying was just an inch off from hitting my head against that last stair. So anyway, I don't rollerblade anymore, but I loved it when I did it. And I couldn't just glide. I'd have to jump over things.
That sounds like something you would do. I'm surprised you still don't do stuff like that. One of the things I used to really love to, as a kid, I would love to play video games, which as an adult, I just don't play video games as much anymore. And I get people hitting me up all the time. It's like, yo, do you got a Twitch? I'm like, yeah, no, I know. I think just kind of getting older and you just lose time and energy for things like that. I used to just love to just go outside and to explore. I remember being a kid. I remember no doubt being a kid. And I remember my mom sitting on the couch watching the news. And I was like, there's no way in the world I will ever want to sit down in the house and watch the news. I don't care how old I get. How do you not want to get up and go outside and play, mama? I don't understand why you want to sit there and watch. That is so boring. Why would you do? I had no idea in my 7-year-old mind, why she would ever want to do something like that. And now I find myself sitting in my office, scrolling through Twitter, the news. And that's what I do. And my son comes in the house, yeah, you want to come play outside? And I'm like, man, it's hot outside. It's cold outside. It's wet outside. It's dry outside. Like whatever excuse it is, like I do the same thing as an adult. But like, man, when you're in that kind of like childlike playful things, like you want to get up and you want to go and explore. Those are some things that I just really used to love doing. And last exercise is, what are 5 things that you would like to try once? At least once. You just want to try it one time.
I'd love to drive a race car.
Oh, that is dope. Like, yo, I wouldn't even think about that. One thing I would love to try just one time, if I knew that I could like be safe and come back, is I want to know what it's like to like be on the front lines of a war. Like, just to say that I've experienced it. That's like, I ain't trying to get shot or nothing. I'm just saying, like, I want to know.
Well, you might get shot.
I want to know what it's like. Yeah, but it's just doing it one time. I guess.
But what if you get shot in that one time?
I've been shot before. I'll be fine.
You have?
Well, not by like a M14, M14 and nothing like that. By BB guns and pellets and things, nothing like crazy.
Okay, we'll unpack
like,
that.
I ain't really been shot like that. I haven't been shot at actually, but they weren't shooting at me. They were shooting at other people, and I was in the way, so I ran.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. Whole
nother story. I don't like, just for the record, I don't like being shot at. That stuff is not cool. I just want to know what it's like when people come back from something like, Afghanistan or Iraq, and they've been through those experiences. I just want to be able to relate and be able to connect with that just one time, just to kind of understand what that's like.
Okay, so basically that is intense. Wow. I don't really have anything that deep, but I'd like to be on Broadway, specifically just to be able to do one show with Hamilton. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
That would be dope.
Just one show with Hamilton. I would be like so happy.
Man. Yep. Oh man, one thing I would like to do, at least try just one time. I want to go deep sea, like going down into a submarine, like going to like the bottom of the ocean, and to see stuff where it's pitch black, where you see all those like crazy sort of unseen animals.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to go down there and see that just one time. Like I just need once. But cool. YouTube is pretty good too. I think I could.
Yeah, right? Yeah, my last few are just hold a political office just for one time, just to see what it's like to actually be in politics and how that whole world works. And then a 10-day hiking trip in like Yosemite or something like that, where I'm just by myself and I just gotta every night pitch a tent, cook my food over a fire, be alone, be scared of animals possibly attacking me, all that stuff.
That's a fantastic idea. Like, I think I'm copying off of you every single time you say that, because like it would be fun just one time to be like stranded on a desert island somewhere where it's like all you had was like coconuts to eat.
Ooh.
And, what's that movie with Tom Hanks where he's like, we got Wilson the ball, Castaway. Be castaway for one day, and then somebody come pick me up. But like I just want to see what it's like to be out there in the elements and all that. I think that would be pretty cool. But the idea of even just going through exercises like that and just kind of letting your imagination run, is there's a lot of truth to those things that just kind of first come to your head, and be able to tell yourself, hey, this is what I would actually probably enjoy doing. And you'll be able to find out more of who you are in those type of situations, and in those things, that what you actually want. And it's kind of making that connection between your subconscious and your consciousness, and being able to explore that and have freedom in that.
I think real quick, I want to say that I think this exercise helped me recognize, okay, again, back to the wheel of emotion, what are things that bring me joy, and really start to flow into that a little bit more. And what are the things that don't bring me joy? Like the things that I would never do, for instance. It's like, well, then don't do those things. Like, but what is it about those things that make them things I wouldn't want to do?
Yeah,
that's a deep question.
Not even, I was thinking about that actually when you said that, because as you were processing like what you would not want to do is like, you don't want to go bodyboarding or something like that, because that trauma of being caught in a riptide, being at you could die that way. That could be super scary. But what is it? Is that a fear that you need to overcome? Is that something that's like you need to take that fear and be able to express it in some way?
Yeah.
And it makes me think of what are some of the things that really make me not want to be where I am and what situations I don't want to be in. And I think, and this is another thing I'm just literally processing live right now, is one thing that I have a really tough time doing is processing things like death. Whenever somebody close to me passes away and dies, like it's almost like a period of time just kind of gets blocked out of my memory. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember the funeral. I don't remember what was going on up until that point. Like I just kind of just block it out of my mind and don't really process it in that way. And knowing that about myself, knowing that like what is that, it helps you to understand who you are and how to express those type of things. And the more we become self-aware, the more we become more authentic to who we are. And I think I really love this idea of the morning pages, just to give me that exercise where I can have the space to explore some of those things and to remember how I used to process things when I was a kid, to be able to get back to that kind of carefree, optimistic thing that I'm trying to, to remember, to be able to create from that space. And I'm really excited about really what the long-term effects of having these morning pages are, because right now, I think, just to being honest, we're in that sort of like getting the toxins out of our body sort of funk of, you got to go through this process where it's like, it's not really working. It doesn't really feel good. But on the other side of that, I think it's a great opportunity for creativity and some amazing art that can come out of it. This is a conversation that we don't have time to cover all in one spot. And there's so many different perspectives and so many different feelings that we have to process. So we want to actually do that with you on a regular daily basis, be able to check in with you during the week to kind of discover yourself as an artist. So if you want to be a part of this process, join the Jam the Hype Artist Development Group. Just go ahead and shoot me an email, jamthehype@uiwi.org, or just click a link down in the description below this video. In the comments, I'll be able to get you signed up to be a part of an artist community that can walk you through this process. You can walk through this process with us together to be able to make better art, truer art to ourselves. So.
Yeah. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please share it. Also, like, subscribe, comment. And next week, we're going to be back with the episode called Recovering the Sense of Possibility. So we want you to join in.
That one.
Yes, it's going to be awesome.
So, and also, don't forget to join us Talkback Tuesday every Tuesday at 3 p.m. So feel free to hit us up on Instagram, join Talkback Tuesday, ask your questions, check in with us, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.